going through a lot of body stuff, a lot of pain in my legs and my lower back. And the pills the doctors were prescribing just wasn't cutting it. But I tried heroin, and I mean, I loved it. It took everything away from me. Heroin became obsolete up here. When the fentanyl boom hit, you couldn't find it anywhere. And so I tried fentanyl for the first time, and it was like nothing else. It made me warm, and it made me happy. But it didn't last as long as heroin. And so within an hour, I needed another one. And then it just progressively got worse. I was smoking 60 pills a day, 12 at a time. Just doing anything I could to get it. Stealing from grocery stores. If I saw something in your yard that I liked, I would wait till nighttime when I knew you were either gone or in bed. I was arrested and put into the Navajo County Annex for 4 days, and that's where the withdrawals started, and it got real bad. And so I just had to tough it out. And it was probably the worst time of my life. I mean, I just had my fingers removed, and that was worse. I'll put it this way, I've never in my life wanted to commit suicide. When I was sitting in the annex for those 4 days, I wrapped a bed sheet around my neck and tied it, and I tried to hang myself. That's how bad it was. So I had just gotten a year sober, and everything was going good. I was living back with my wife. Everything's going great, actually. And I have my youngest son on the weekends, and he wants to live with Dad. He wants to live with me. He has every day of his life. And so he cries every time I take him home, just cries. And after so many weekends of that, it just broke me. Instead of using the resources I already know to do, pick up the phone, whatever, I knew that I had a tent still set up from when I was homeless, and I knew there was something in there. So I drove over to that tent, and I found that something, and I also found a plumber's torch. And I lit the plumber's torch. Just, that's all it needed to heat up the little tent, and it was kind of cold that night. And I hit that tinfoil tray one time. I started messing with some stuff. I hit it again, and the next thing I remember is I woke up, and I was hunched over like this. And I woke up, and the torch was on my hand, and that's it, right where my eyes went. And I turned off the torch, and I threw it to the side, and I looked at my hand, and I said, "Oh, what did you do? What did you do?" I didn't necessarily smell anything. I just, sight was my first thing. I walked down to my car, I pulled out my phone, and the time I started using that night to the time I picked up the phone to call my wife, it was 40 minutes. So between 30 to 40 minutes, that torch burned my hand. The smell of burnt popcorn smells like fentanyl. Even buttered popcorn smells like fentanyl. So if my niece or nephew makes popcorn in the house, I have instant triggers. And I gotta call someone, or I leave the room and talk to my family. You know, there's always gonna be, I'm an addict. I'm always gonna be an addict. I tell my story. I'd be brutally honest and just tell them where it's gonna lead them.
Which is where?
Institutions or the grave. I firmly believe that I have a bigger purpose than just drugs. I may not know what that is yet, but I truly believe that God saved my life that night and kept me here for something bigger. And whether that's for this moment right here, right now, to share my story or to help somebody else in some other way, I'm definitely here for a better, bigger purpose.